How's it going, YouTube? My name's Elvin Ninja 7, your resident Mistweaver monk, and welcome into another commentary video. We're actually jumping into this one later. I forgot to hit record until mid-pack. Of course, it's like a giant pool too, but nonetheless, like this wasn't a really difficult pack. We didn't even use Lust here, which is kind of surprising. This is normally a pack that you Lust, but you see here, I just commit Chi-Ji, and it kind of tackles these stacks. It plus a Shaylun's Gift kind of tackles these stacks, but Chi-Ji lets us get a good hot spread so that our Vivifies cleave, and we handle 7 stacks of bursting pretty easily. 0 deaths so far. But what is this key? Why am I showing you guys this key? Well, this key, honestly, goes to shit very quickly, and you'll see exactly what I mean by going to shit, but I haven't really posted much gameplay recently. And part of that is because I personally have not been playing the game a lot throughout the weeks because I've had some problems with my hands. They've just been like really sore because my mouse was broken. I had to like squeeze it really hard and stuff like that. But I got a replacement mouse. I've been working on posture. I've been icing my hands, you know, doing the full on like how Tom Brady treats his right arm. I was treating my right hand, you know, things like that. But we're good now. We're back jamming keys, and I'm sure you noticed that because our most recent series is very gameplay dependent, and some of you have noticed I have been streaming a ton lately. Like I streamed like 3 or 4 times this week out of 7 days. Like that's crazy, especially because I wasn't streaming at all for a while. Luckily there we used the boop that keeps us out of that hallway to kind of dodge the green swirly. Kind of a fun little tech there, but so far, we're blazing through this dungeon. Look at the DPS. Like right now, that pool, it was a single target pool, and that chick just lasts forever. Let's be real. Those Ravagers, that little mini boss, has probably twice as much health as it should. It's ridiculous. But anyways, we're blazing through this dungeon because we have a Devastation Evoker and a Warrior. I think that's a Fury. Don't quote me on that. Some kind of Warrior. But regardless, they're both like non-meta specs, and they absolutely crank damage. The only reason why you don't see these guys brought in like higher keys yet, which I've heard that there are some that are going to be brought to higher keys, is just because they don't have as much utility, like sneaky utility, like Mind Soothe and I don't know, Arcane Barrier, things like that. But these classes are still good. You shouldn't like deny them because look at how much damage they're doing. But there we do kind of let that dot tick away on the paladin, so we end up having to use Life Cocoon there. All right, we're actually going to come back a bit in this pool because I almost missed it. One of the things I want to talk about. So watch this Evoker. The Evoker has Crushing Depths, and I Renewing Mist and then channel my Soothing Mist into him. And watch how much of that Soothing Mist it takes. Only about half of a Soothing Mist, like 2 Vivifies in a Soothing Mist. And that's basically because we put a Renewing Mist on them. So then if you watch that Paladin back, it took an entire Soothing Mist, but you watch the Evoker, it took half a Soothing Mist, and it comes down to me just applying Renewing Mist first. Now, Renewing Mist itself doesn't do a lot of healing, doesn't have any modifiers, but it's to apply our tier set onto them. The tier set makes them take 50% more healing from all sources. You combine that with the 40% of an Enveloping Mist, now all of a sudden you're cooking. You're doing so much single target spot healing. So yeah, definitely make sure and apply a Renewing Mist. Take the time, take the global cooldown to apply Renewing Mist right once that Crushing Depths gets chosen. And trust me, it adds up in the long run. But we're kind of flying through this dungeon. Like we're doing pulls very quickly. This tank is moving very fast. Our DPS is absolutely cranking. And my healing is like honestly pretty good. Like I'm actually, as of like right now in the dungeon watching it back, I feel like I haven't really made too many mistakes. Now there was that one moment, that first pool, where I did not revival, and I wish I did, because you'll see here it's been over 3 minutes and we still haven't used it again, so it would have been free to do so back when we had like 7 stacks. But I don't know, I think that's like a theme lately of me just not sending cooldowns when I'm supposed to. But here we do this weird pool that this is the 3rd time this week I've had this pool happen in my keys. So we pull the Ravager and we go ahead and pull it over to the Oracle. But the problem is those little vicious dragons also get pulled because they're a pad. They will get pulled if you come to these oracles. Now this pull is doable. It really is. If you chain CC, like chain, if I would like ring a piece the next set of casts, and then like, you know, we have AoE stuns, but that's just not what happens. And people start dropping like flies because there's not only a lot of AoE burst, there's a lot of single target burst, and that just becomes like really hard to heal. Like in this moment, I don't know what is going through my head. It's hard for me to know what to heal and what to like care about. But yeah, we end up wiping there. The tank says my bad because I think he knows like that pool can be done, and like some groups can do that pool, but it does take a little bit more coordination and more more AoE CC. Now, funnily enough, this evoker slaps down in the chat, no problem, shit happens. He must be a prophet, and you guys will see what I mean soon, so stay tuned for that. But I always like to keep things lighthearted. Like, I don't want this guy to think that he messed up and we're all mad at him, so I always try to say something like fun, even if it like comes off cringe, or I don't care. I just try to keep it lighthearted. So I hit him with a reporting you to the police, though. So like, no problem, but we're reporting you to the police. Like, I don't care. You wiped, it's fine. People get it, like, let it tilt them so bad. Yeah, we end up splitting this room into the 4 quadrants, and I like doing this a bit more. I don't really like this pool. I don't like the dragons plus the Ravager. I prefer to pull the Ravager to, what I prefer to do is to pull the dogs to an Oracle set first, and then pull the Ravager to the other Oracle set, and then take on that back little quadrant on its own. But doing it in like little sets of 2 is fine. It's totally fine. But we end up taking down the dogs there. I use Tiger's Lust there because I know there's, I'm trying to keep our stagger, like how we're spread, and kind of like a semi, now it's kind of ugly, but we don't want that frontal to hit multiple people too often. So I try not to move too much. That's why you'll see myself Tiger's Lust in moments like that to clear the entangling debuff. But here on this pack, now that we've split it up, these next few pools honestly become pretty trivial. So like, you'll just see me kind of spot heal around when it needs to be done. But for the most part, it's literally just ancient teachings. But I want to take this moment to kind of talk about this build. So this is the build that I'm running and that I made a guide video on recently. Now this is a more hybrid caster like melee build, because I'm opting out of Rising Mist and in favor of Tear of Morning. And the reason there is because I've noticed in my keys, since we heal people so quickly, since like everything is so volatile, like health bars jump for the most part, I was noticing that I just needed to heal more in an instant, and have more spot healing, and like I needed my Chi ramps to like hit harder, but like I didn't care if they lasted like 15 seconds anymore. I just need those 12 seconds to absolutely crank. So I was like, you know what, I'll take a note or page out of our raid healing book, and I'll give Tear of Morning a shot. You know, Tear of Morning seems sick. But to couple with that, I also am going with Focused Thunder instead of, a lot of people do choose Focused Thunder even when they go with Rising Mist, but I usually choose like Secret Infusion as that final like kind of throwaway point. But with this build, Tear of Morning plus Focused Thunder kind of gives you a mini Shayloon's Gift in a way. Like, you have Chi-Ji, that's your like 1 minute cranking heal. You have Shayloon's Gift, that's your 40-second cranking heal, but now you have Thunder Focus Tea. That's honestly like a 30-second kind of like instant double spot heal pump. Like, it's kind of crazy. But like I said, I have a guide video on that, but we're kind of coming up. Oh my god, I can't talk. Coming up to Lady Nazjar, I don't know. But you see, this boss can be scary, but as long as you kind of prep for those focused tempests, they should be fine. But here, the Shock Blast one taps the Evoker, absolutely one-shots him. Yeah, unfortunate, but we B-res and kind of panic a bit, but we used a lot of stuff there. We used Life Cocoon and Shayloon's Gift. Since it was kind of like a panic scenario, I didn't mind committing 2 cooldowns there. But for the rest of the key, like these shock blasts are prone to one-shot people. So I don't play it safe. I use cooldown. So you see there, I used dampen harm there, and I prepped myself with all my hots and was spamming into myself with a soothing mist vivify just to be safe. And I feel like that's the best way to go about it. Now here I do Ring of Peace. Ideally you want to Ring of Peace the casters, but getting these guys grouped up faster lets them, it makes it easier to kill them quicker. And it might not always be optimal, but honestly, like I kind of try to do that every time. Try to group up as many as I can. And if they jump onto the Ring of Peace, it kind of, you know, mitigates that because they'll just bounce off. But I try to do as much healing. My number one goal, since I've noticed this group is full of absolute cannon blasters, like my number one goal is to just keep everyone alive. And here, once again, we save Chi-Ji for Focus Tempest. We don't just send it during the ad phase. I prioritize spot healing and keeping people alive during the ad phase so that I get to have Chi-Ji for the first Focus Tempest outside of that. But here we have Focus Thunder, which I do use, and I save a Shaylin gift. You see there that spot healing that those 2 Enveloping Mist gives in an instant absolutely cranks spot healing, and it's like amazing. And it can be like your backup cooldown if you want to hold on to something. And you see here, like, it would have been totally fine if I just sent Shaylun's gift there. But that's kind of like what I was talking about. I'm kind of like nervous to use my cooldowns and then be left for the next scenario without a cooldown. Obviously I have Revival, but during bursting weeks, I try my hardest to save Revival for big bursts or bosses that like need a Mass Dispel. Which, like, this boss, honestly, a Mass Dispel is not bad to kind of like throw away here, because you know there's a boss after it, so you have time to recoup that cooldown. But look, the tank said, dude, I have take a shit so bad. So this is what I meant by this key goes to shit so bad. He says, give me 2 minutes. So here we are about to kill the first boss in a dungeon. We've done 65% of the dungeon. Like, we have absolutely, like I said, blasted through this dungeon. We might actually have 2 minutes to spare, if I'm being completely honest. So yeah, we might be able to still time it, but you see here, I get targeted. I use not only Dampen, but I use Life Cocoon because I know this boss is about to fall over. I also know that we're gonna have 2 minutes to recover those cooldowns right after this boss. So yeah, this is what happens. We say LMAO, go, go, go. I say speed, but he is already gone. This guy is out over there sitting on a toilet. But now that it's just us, now that we're sitting here waiting on this guy to remove his bowels, it kind of makes me think, what do I want to do with my life? Am I just taking a shit with my life, or am I being the best me that I can be? Are you being the best you that you can be? I took this time to reflect on myself and really think about that, think about what makes me happy. And I cannot stress it enough that I'm the happiest that I can remember I've ever been, and it's mostly due to you guys, or it's a lot of it's due to you guys and how supportive y'all are and how great y'all are, and I've actually made some true friends from World of Warcraft, which is kind of cringe to say, but also from YouTube and streaming it. Like, I absolutely love you guys like best friends. So thank you so much for that. But it's also due to I really prioritize my mental health right once I started this channel. You might be able to see it in my attitude, but I was down in the dumps, quite literally, like this guy. But I talked to my family. I opened up to them. I haven't talked about this on the channel, but I talked to them, and I went to I don't know what the doctor was called, psychiatrist. I don't know, but basically just talked through it. Got some medication because I did have some chemical imbalances in my brain from a brain injury as a kid, believe it or not, and just getting things looked at and talking to people helped. But anyways, we're back to the key. But like I said, if you need to talk to someone and you're afraid to talk to people around you, hit me up on Discord. I put my Discord in the link of every description. I think I do, at least my channel Discord, but you can always send me a message. I'll respond because I've been through stuff too. Trust me. and it's always nice to have someone to talk to. But anyways, getting back into this key, we're coming up to Commander Ulthok, and honestly, this is probably the most clean group I've had. Just, I could stop there. Blanket statement. Clean group. This group was amazing. Other than like the Evoker getting one shot because they used the healing defensive instead of the mitigation defensive. Like, this group was insane. But this boss alone, like, just the drops were good. We kept it so tight on this wall and in a line here for the most part. You'll see it kind of does kind of get out of hand, but we kept it intact so long. Here is partly my fault. I dropped under the boss when I should have followed the tank there and dropped there, but it's fine. I stacked on the group, so they would have dropped them there anyways. But basically, as a healer, I try to save Shayloon's gift for those, the knockbacks. And then I try to make sure that I have Feline Stomp ready for when the ads are coming up. So right after I Shayloon's gift, I try to Feline Stomp, or sorry, Jadefire Stomp, so that it can come off cooldown before the next Awaken Ooze. And you see here, I shoot that Feline Stomp just so I can walk at these guys and spinning Crane Kick, and I try to get underneath that other drop, but yeah, luckily an Ooze doesn't spawn there. But see, we're walking in a line, making the oozes, kind of keeping them all in one group so I can literally handle that mechanic and let my DPS just kill the boss faster. And it's such a clean way to do the boss. It would be cleaner if I would have kind of been on the tail of the boss, but it can get kind of tight and kind of scary, and animations or particles can kind of mess you up. But here I'm trying to ping, like, hey, let's go over here, try to keep them more in a line. But then we kind of dropped bad here, so I'm like, okay, let's just be here so that the ads can kind of all be hit by the same spinning Crane Kick. But also, one thing that I try to do is a lot of times you'll get surprised and kind of just accidentally take a tick of the dark damage, that ground effect. So it's not a bad idea to pop a defensive, especially on the first few, because it's a free defensive. You'll get that defensive back before the next pack. So oftentimes it's a good idea to use your defensive there. But all in all, super clean fight. But here I hit him with a joke. I thought of this. Apparently I was thinking about this the whole entire time. I say porcelain, throne of the tides. I was proud of it. No one says anything in chat. But they all start talking about what he ate for lunch or breakfast or dinner. I don't even know, but I was excited about that one. Apparently I was cracking myself up during this key, just thinking of new things, but that was probably my best one. It doesn't get better than that, guys. If you're looking for puns, I'm pretty sure that's the end of it until the end of the key. But yeah, this guy ate a coffee and a breakfast burrito. Roasted duck with rice. To me, that sounds like a French thing. Like, is that not a French breakfast? Maybe I'm from America, so maybe I'm used to like crappy eggs and bacon and cereal and all the bad stuff. But that to me sounds like a recipe to upset your stomach. But regardless, we're coming up on the final stretches, like we're rounding second, coming up to third. I don't know. I didn't play baseball. I think that's a good reference, but we're coming up on the end. Here, these Aqua Blasts are what can surprise you and kill people. So I try my hardest to CC them. That's why you saw me use Rop there. It was kind of a weird Rop, but it was literally just an AoE kick. That's all it was used for. But these Poison Spears also can surprise you. And luckily my tank, I think that was his trinket, his life-saving trinket. If I would have been paying attention to the tank's health there, I definitely would have life cocooned. But you see here, dude, we start to fall behind on those bursting stacks, but Thunder Focus Tea with Tear of Morning, double Thunder Focus Tea, Enveloping Mist, I'm telling you, it's so insane. And it feels better than it probably is on Bursting Week, so I definitely recommend you at least giving this build a try on Bursting Week. And just trying to let it, like, that one little combo alone carry like 5 stacks of bursting, and just try it. I promise you'll like it. But it's also, I've been playing it outside of Bursting Week, and I've got to say it, I like it a lot. Now, it's not for everyone. Like, the Rising Mist build is probably better. I mean, you see the top end people playing it. But the thing is, we've played that for a long time, just like we had in Raid. And it took like one person, I'm pretty sure it was Swaggles, who like kind of was the innovator of the Tear of Morning build because of all the Enveloping Mist buffs. Well, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I'm trying it here in Mythic Plus, and I haven't not liked it. So if you want to try it, I highly recommend. That build, that guide is down in the description if you're just wondering where to start. It's mostly, it's just like the normal, it's a basic fist weaving guide, but I also talk about how it changes a little bit because we literally just changed 2 talents. It's just 2 talents. It's not a heavy commitment, but I think I like the way that it shifts your power. You basically become slightly more of a reactive healer as opposed to a proactive healer, because Rising Mist helps you like it helps you set up your hots to last longer, so you can have 5 people having Renewing Mist comfortably for a lot longer. But here you can apply your 2 Renewing Mists and then machine gun 2 Enveloping Mists that spawn 2 6-second Renewing Mists. So that's 4 Renewing Mists right there, with 2 Enveloping Mists for free. That spot heal, chunk heal, by the way, and cleave onto all those Renewing Mists. So it's like you're just shifting your power around. And the way that, like I said, the way I like to think of it is just reactive versus proactive. You see here, we pull in more of these little Gushas, Gersha. We pull in more of these minions of Gersha, and they can pack a punch. They can really surprise you. So I send a Shayloons, and we're fine. For the most part, I haven't really talked about the gameplay, I know, but you guys did like when I did this back in Season 2. I think I did a Neltharis key where I kind of just talked. But here, we do stagger the deaths a lot, so I end up having to send Revival. I hate using Revival right before this boss, because it's so nice to have a Mass Dispel in your back pocket, but I send a Revival after the Evoker dies. I had just picked him to Soothing Mist. I think if I would have been a bit quicker, I could have saved Revival, saved him, and yeah, or I could have committed Life Cocoon. Would have been the better play. But there we did stagger those deaths, and we went 5 stacks and took a tick, 6 stacks, took a tick, 7 stacks. But here you're also seeing me there, another Thunder Focus Tea to kind of just spot heal the guy that gets the dot, and spread around some hots a bit more. And like I said, you can't extend those hots unless you take Rising Mist, but them lasting 6 seconds is fine. I mean, that's as much as an Enveloping Mist, so you're getting full cleave on your Enveloping Mist. There, that death was avoidable on the Evoker's part. I couldn't have done anything else, but we actually are lucky there that dot went on the Paladin, because usually that dot is the rapid fire one. You usually kind of get 2 people with the dot pretty quickly. But I used Chi-Ji to apply a Chi Cocoon. That was literally the reason, was just for the Chi Cocoon to make sure he doesn't die, and I have time to react and heal him. But he actually, what's the spell called? Like bubbled or bobbed, or he did his Paladin thing and actually cleansed himself there. So we're not falling behind on the dots, and we're looking pretty good. Good. My voice just cracked. I'm leaving that in. I'm not editing that out. But yeah, this boss has taken a lot of practice for me this season. But I will say, having Thunder Focus Tea be more of an impactful spell has really helped me. It's like I don't need that constant throughput that Rising Mist can help you with. I just need another little burst window to kind of split the difference of Shayloon's gifts. But on the opposite side of that argument, here I am sitting at 10 stacks of Shayloon's gift. There, I use them, but I'm sitting at 10 stacks not using them, talking about how I need more cooldowns. So you could argue, look, I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying I like it a lot. Now, I will go ahead and talk about something. My IO has kind of sat around 3250 for weeks now. And part of that is because I've done multiple push weeks on fortified weeks. I've pushed like every fortified week, basically. But I've sat out every tyrannical week. And it's always something out of my control, like family comes to visit or, you know, things like that. And that happens. But this week is the first tyrannical week where I haven't really had much going on outside of WoW. So I'm trying to get some keys like this one. I'm trying to go back and backfill them. And Throne of the Tides was one of the main ones. I think my highest Throne of the Tides was a 23 before this, maybe a 22. But I know for a fact I still have my highest tyrannical Dark Heart is a plus 22, so I still need to go through and do that. But yeah, it's also been hard for me to play. I've talked about it on stream, which, by the way, I've been streaming a lot more recently with the series, the 3K series. So definitely go follow me on twitch.tv/ElvinNinja7. Anyways, I've been playing a lot less because of my hands. I've actually been having bad issues. I think I talked about this. I might have already said this in the key, but I've had some issues with my hands. But now they're looking better. They're looking better, so I'm playing a lot more. You're going to see more gameplay. More Mistweaver keys, but also I'm grinding every healer. I'm telling you, if you have not seen episode 1 of my newest series, it's good. Like, I'm proud of that series, and I'm proud of what it's going to be. So definitely don't miss out on that and go watch episode 1 now. Basically what I'm doing, the gist of it is I'm getting every healer, all 7 healing specs, to 3,000 IO, and it's a slog. It really is. There's so much playing required that it feels like I don't have enough time before season 4 drops. Yeah, it's tough. But here I'm holding on to all of my cooldowns, knowing full and well that these sentries are probably the most threatening thing in this gauntlet. So this is going back to that thing that I was talking about earlier, where I'm kind of like nervous to send my cooldowns because I know that there's the double sentry coming up. I also know that there's this pool coming up, and I wanted to have more cooldowns for this pool because these aqua mages are like terrifying, and I know that there's a lot of corruption, so I definitely need revival either here or for the next pack. You see here, we start to get up to 9. I'm like, maybe I can do it with Chi-Ji. I'm not spinning crank-kicking, which I probably should have been, and then there we hit 17 stacks, and I got super greedy. Tried to hold on to revival for a little bit longer, and someone gets one shot. The paladin got one shot, and that was my fault. I definitely could have revival to save him. So that is something that I'm working on. I was in a good swing of that. I was sending cooldowns per pack, pre-sending them, pre-rolling Chi-Ji beforehand. But I've kind of fallen into a bad habit. But the fact that I'm recognizing that bad habit and I'm going to take steps to correct it, like I'm actively thinking about in every key, what am I going to use on the next pool, so that I'm just committing to that. That's something that I think can make players better players, and it's something that I'm trying to work on. So if you're looking for ways to become a better player, a better healer, just focus on not sitting on your cooldowns. Like right now I have Chi-Ji and Shayloons. Yes, I'm coming up to a pretty difficult boss, but let's be real here. I could have Shayloons that last swell, and it would probably be up like in time for the boss. So just sitting on cooldowns is, just be careful. Like, yeah, it's always nice to plan ahead, but if you wipe on this pool with cooldowns up, it's kind of like when your DPS die with their defensives up. And I'm sure all of us healers have flamed the DPS for doing that, but we're just as guilty, or at least I am. I'm kind of putting this on you guys. But we're coming up to this last boss. Look, we have 4 minutes left, and that's even with us taking a little poop break. And look, I'm just gonna say it, this group was amazing. This group was so good, but we still have to dot the I's and cross the T's, or whatever the saying is. We have to get this this boss killed. And I want you guys to watch something. I'm gonna point out, kind of like how I did with Crushing Depths, where there were 2 ways that we handled it, and one way went very well, one way did not. Watch us cleanse here. Me and the Evoker, we stack and we move as a pair, and this is a tech that you're seeing like push groups use. They stack and they clear together, because we literally touched it for a second and it went away. Like, you cleanse so much faster. And right now it's easy because the room is not all muddied up, but you'll see as we get deeper into this fight and the room does kind of start to fill up and you can't really cleanse it all, we don't stack as often, or we don't stack every time, and those times cause us to kind of fall behind. And you'll see, but here it goes again. Me and the Evoker. The Evoker, it was the Evoker like kind of initiating us stacking. He kind of found me and like walked with me. You see there, I stopped to cast, but yeah, we stacked together. We cleanse all of that. And if we would have split up and taken down both sides alone, we might have been able to do it. But yeah, all I know is that we cleansed all of that. We almost did lose the tank there. I was very slow on the life cocoon trigger finger. Here I'm trying to not mess up our tank, but stack the ink as close as I can. But yeah, you see here it's the Paladin and Evoker, and they split up. And notice how once they split up, they just soak very slowly to the point where the Evoker did end up missing those 2 ink puddles because he didn't stand on them long enough. So yeah, definitely if you're in a push group, try to convince them to stack and show them this clip if you need to. At least tell them to like skip to this timestamp. Oh, there, I chased the warrior out a bit. Oops. But I'm trying to get flush against the ink that exists. But look here, the warrior and the evoker stack again. And I mean, they just like rapid fire cleanse ink. They did have to move through that 1 puddle pretty quickly. But I mean, they are just, look, they almost made a full circle around the boss. Like, they open up that entire side, and yeah, it did refill, but they definitely did make so much, like, progress there. So, yeah, definitely if you push with friends, show them this if they're denying that it works, because it definitely does. But here I roll away. Now that the room is muddied up, we have definitely fallen behind. I roll one way, the evoker is on the opposite side of the room, so the evoker does drop. But I am with the warrior. I'm trying to stay as close to him as possible. But here, I don't know what I do. I'm like, the boss is gonna die. I just gotta focus on healing because people were starting to die. I think that was my bad. I definitely should have walked with a warrior a bit more. But I noticed people were low and I needed to cast a Shayloons. But here we're getting another barrage, and luckily we phased the boss. The barrage doesn't hit. And that's gonna do it, guys. That's gonna be the key. We timed it even though our tank took a potty break halfway through. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I like these videos kind of where I just get to talk. I mean, I don't have a podcast. This is kind of like the closest thing. So watch the chat here. There's gonna be a couple chats, like some banter going on, but definitely take some time to check out my Patreon. Because if it weren't for the patrons of this channel, yes, we did hit 3.3k by the way, but if it weren't for the patrons of this channel, I would not be able to still be here trying to make YouTube a thing, trying to make it a reality, my dream a reality. So thank you so much to those guys. Check it out while you're still here. While you're down there, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and go check out my series. I'm putting so much time into it, like many hours. So go check out that series. It's my passion project right now. So definitely check that out. I'd really appreciate it. But thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this build. I really wanted some gameplay of this build on the channel, and this key absolutely blessed me with some comedy. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Hit all those sellout buttons. Guys, I'm going to go drink some water because I'm dying of thirst after talking for 30 minutes. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care. Or I'll see you on stream. Go check out my stream. But I'll see you guys later. Take care.